Welcome to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, where we sit down with the people who give shape, texture, and voice to life on the North Fork of Long Island, and sometimes far beyond. Some of our guests are rooted here by generations, others join us from elsewhere to share their work, their perspective, or their connection to this community, but all bring something that resonates, something that adds to the ongoing conversation. We talk about what's changing, what's worth holding on to, and the currents of history, both quiet and loud, that run through this place. I'm your host, Christopher Bianchi, and for episode 146, we sit down with Reverend Marc Thompson, pastor of Unity Baptist Church in Mattituck. Reverend Thompson grew up in the Bronx, where life was often tough, but through adversity and the support of his family and church community, he found his strength and direction. His high school years in Manhattan broadened his outlook, while a love of literature and writing gave him a powerful way to process and express his experiences. Alongside his ministry on the North Fork, he continues to stay connected to the Bronx, supporting young people and helping to guide them through challenges of their own. In our conversation, we'll explore the moments and mentors that led him towards ministry, what drew him to Unity Baptist, and what it means to carry forward the legacy of a church that has been part of the community since 1931. We'll talk about what the church's role in fostering unity and service, the outreach he's most passionate about, and his vision for the future Unity Baptist Church. So I hope you enjoy episode 146 with Reverend Marc Thompson. This episode was recorded July 19th, 2025. Thank you so much for coming on the Floyd Memorial Library podcast today. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
Same here, Chris. Thank you for having me today. Really excited about interviewing with you today.
Oh, thank you. And so in the beginning, I usually like to start off with if you can give us a little intro about yourself and where you grew up, where you were born and raised.
Okay, wonderful. I was raised in Soundview in the Bronx area. I was raised in Soundview housing projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's in like the Bronx area with my mom and my relatives, four
Mm-hmm.
relatives. My mom has 5 sons and 1 daughter.
Wow. And how was that growing up there? Because I think the South Bronx, it can be tough.
Yeah, it wasn't really. It's the northern part of the Bronx, but it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like rent was like $110 per month for 4 bedrooms. You know, many of the people in the community were low income, but my mom was strict. Like she would always send me to the Soundview library during the summers to do book reports, to keep us out of trouble. So we were constantly working to improve our writing skills, communication skills. She made us do research. And I think some of those particular things helped us create good habits when it comes to school. And it helped us, you know, excel a little bit more than the average person who was just playing all day.
Mm-hmm. And what did she do for work?
My mom, you know, my mom got a GED. Then she went back and she, you know, went to college to try to improve herself. She worked student work study. She developed some good partnerships and relationships with people within the campus, and it started increasing her earning potential. She also worked as a waitress. She did a little bit of retail along the way. My mom basically did everything she needed to do to try to support us and help us get through. My dad was incarcerated. But he was a Vietnam veteran, and he had schizophrenia. So, but, you know, military experience for him helped me educationally. The Veterans Administration supported me a lot during undergrad, gave me stipends to help me get through school.
And I was curious, even just if you go back in terms of your family, did you get to meet some of your grandparents?
Oh, yes. Great question. Yeah. My grandma and granddad Mary Thompson and Theodore Thompson, they were deacons in their church, Ebenezer Baptist Church in Harlem. So their spiritual roots, I think, passed on to me. Like we said, prayer before we ate breakfast. And anytime I spent the night with them, I knew I was going to church on Sunday.
Yes.
I knew I was going to church on Sunday. So just thinking about like their spiritual roots, they were like deep into church.
Yeah.
Even when you go to Ebenezer Baptist Church in Harlem now, on 152nd Street, their names are engraved on the seats, like where they always sat. And growing up as a kid, I remember the praise music, the drums, the choirs. And I think now that's why I think I really love Unity so much more. It brings back so many memories.
Yes.
To growing up as a small kid.
Definitely. Even just as a child growing up there, what would you do, even at activities outside of school, just for fun, like in the neighborhood?
We had a park called the Big Park, and we had the Saquon basketball courts. Like growing up, I played basketball a lot at Kips Bay Boys Club, a few blocks away from Soundview, and in the Big Park and Saquon, and just having that outlet to play basketball. Because growing up and being like indigent, you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna make it to the NBA and buy my mom a big house. That was my dream as a little kid. So I was constantly playing basketball on a basketball court. I would be in my room dribbling, watching the NBA games on my little 12-inch TV. I'm gonna make it to the pros and buy my mom a big house and help my mom financially. So that was my goal. But I think growing up, the little discipline of waking up 7 o'clock in the morning, shooting jump shots on the basketball court, practicing my layups, going to the Kips Bay Boys Club. We had swimming activities there. We played ping pong. We also learned team building. Like we had teams that we played with on the basketball court. We played pool together. So I think those little deposits as a young kid helped me a lot make the transition from, to school. I went to Booker T. Washington in Harlem. That was on 107th Street. So just taking the bus from the Bronx to Manhattan to go to school for middle school, then going to Norman Thomas High School. I also went to PS 180 in Harlem as well on 120th Street. So we always commuted to go to school. So
there were schools within the area there, but you always commuted.
Always commuted. Like I was initially raised in Harlem.
Okay.
Like on 111th Street and Manhattan Avenue. Then we had a fire. Then we lived in a shelter. And then we finally secured like a stipend to move to the Soundview houses from the shelter. Then, during that particular period, my mom didn't really want me in particular to go to school in the Bronx area. Like we had PS 107, which was across the street. Then we had Stevenson High School. But my mom just felt like having me, go outside the community to other schools that was a little more competitive would probably be a little better for myself. And I got accepted into an honors program at Booker T. Washington. It was like a SP honors program, and the studies and activities was really good. They were challenging. So I commuted from the Bronx, from 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Then I went to Norman Thomas High School on 33rd Street and Park Avenue. And then from there, I went to Fordham University. And but I think that was good for me to get outside the community. It helped me see a little more as well.
Because would you, even just growing up, going through high school there, because you would just probably be in that community more so. So it's good to see other areas.
Great point. I actually secured tremendous internships with the East-West Security Studies. It was a think tank. I started as an intern, then they hired me as a full-time staff, and that helped me, connect with scholars from all over the world. Some of them went to Oxford, just being around that environment. We had the editor of Northwest, the Institute of East-West, graduated from Columbia with honors. And his name was Richard Levitt, and he became like a little mentor to me. And when I went to Fordham, he would check my papers and say, hey, Mark, I think if you did this would be a little better with the paper. And his staff became like my best friends, and it made me really fall in love with the English language. And, he brought me the Elements of Style writing book and would constantly talk to me about English language. He would talk to me about some top writers like Richard Wright and, other Black talented writers to encourage me to write.
Yes.
So it worked out real good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, because you mentioned your mom and raising all those children, how was that experience? Because that seemed like it would be a lot for her, raising all those children and making sure going to school. And
yeah, my mom was a strict disciplinarian for us. Like she said, just do what you have to do, then go play. Some of us got it, and we would go play, and some of our brothers and sisters didn't do what she said, and then she had to be kind of strict.
Yeah.
So she gave me a couple of beatings, and I have to tell you, Chris, I just needed a few beatings with, and I did the right thing. And to this day, I just try to do the right thing, and just, I say, if you do what you have to do, everything will fall into place.
Yes.
And she was like that. If you did what you had to do, everything fell into place. But if you didn't, she had to put you on punishment. She had to be a little more strict. And I thank her to this very day. I say, thank you for being so strict, because it helped me go in the right direction.
Yes.
Yep.
And then even, because you said you went to Norman Thomas High School, what were you thinking? Because you mentioned even wanting to early on playing basketball, but coming out of high school, or even while you were in high school, were there any other things that you were gravitating towards?
Great question. Like, Norman Thomas, when I initially went there, I was thinking about becoming an accountant. That was my major. Then, after like going through that particular major, I liked it, but I didn't really fall in love with it. But after meeting like Richard Levitt at the Institute, and then, taking English comp class 1 and 2 at Fordham, I met some profound like professors who really got me excited about writing, English, literature. And one of my professors, Paul Gordon, he took me out to eat food at a restaurant and was talking to me and just really get me excited about language. When I first started taking like English comp, I wasn't turning in my essays every week like I was supposed to. Then he was like, hey, just turn them in. He said, the purpose of you being here is to turn in your reports and augment your writing skills. He said, we don't expect you to come here and be a professional. Then him taking that special interest in me, it made me start really like paying close attention to like writing the English language and studying the elements of style a little more. And I had a professor called Watkins Owens. She was the chair of the African Studies program at Fordham, and she was hard on me. And she was like, Mark, you're doing great. She was like, good writing is all about editing your paper. And I had another professor at Fordham. She was one of the top professors there over the journalism program. And she was very strict on me. And, and she followed me, Chris, for 4 years. She was like, and how's this guy? She was a little Jewish lady, thin. And she was like, how's this guy doing? And when she would come in, she made me think about my mom, because my mom is like 76 pounds.
Okay.
And she had to be like 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And she was just as strict. And then at graduation, she said, Mark, the only reason why I was like that, her name was Professor Stone. She said, the only reason why I was like that to you, because I knew from your background, you wouldn't thrive in this particular environment if you didn't have the discipline to turn in your reports, to do the work. And she would see me in the library at Fordham. She would go, I got my eye on you. I said, yes, Professor Stone, I know. But just that extra support and encouragement and her like looking over me, I didn't want to let her down. She said, first day of school, she said, look around you. It was 40 kids in class. She said, 20 of you are going to fail out. She said, 20 of you are going to make it. And she said, I want you to seriously think about which 20 are you going to be in. And I was like, so just having that additional support from outside, people at the Institute for East West, professors at Fordham, professors like Watkins Owens who took a special interest, I think that helped me. That's why I think I transitioned into the educational realm and, supported a lot of the kids when I started working for Berkeley College, when I worked for DeVry as a recruiter. So it was something different. Like when students would come into my office, not having a close for interviews, that same interest that people had for me, I would have for them. I would give some of them ties for interviews who didn't have ties.
Yes.
I partnered with various organizations that would provide clothing to help the students have suits and dress clothes for interviews. I know I was being paid for it, but for me, it was personal. And then to go to the graduations and see kids walk across that stage as graduates. And I said, hey, I had a part in that. When they say, hey, I secured a job, I had a part in that, in their success. And to this day, many of them follow me on LinkedIn. Many of them follow me on Facebook. And we know like how we had that connection together.
Yes.
And now I see some of them, they have kids and their kids are graduating from college. I'd be like, man, I had a part in their success.
Yes.
And then to see like my little daughter who just graduated from Johnson & Wales, Kyla Thompson, and my other daughter who graduated in 2021 from North Carolina A&T with her bachelor's degree. And they give me love. Like, hey, congratulations. Because, I helped them.
Yes.
So now when they see me doing the same for my kids, they smile. My big daughter just interviewed Carmelo Anthony.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, she had like an interview where she did the videography work and she did the photography. She was in Carmelo's house. She walked all through it. The interview is going to come out in September, but just thinking about like, man.
Just seeing how what she's done already.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just excited. Like she's been to Japan. She just did she was a brand ambassador at the Essence festival that just happened in North Carolina. She was in like the New Yorker, but everything is falling into place. Like we have a thing in our house. The harder you work, the luckier you get. So my wife and I, we plant that in our two daughters. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Like success is not going to just fall out the sky. You got to work hard for it. So.
And even just with what you've done, doing your bachelor's, and then you did a master's?
I did the MBA online with Turo. Because with my job as I was the director of business development at Berkeley. And with that job, you could be in New Jersey, you could be in White Plains, you could be in Brooklyn and Queens. So it would be sort of tough to have like a regular 6 to 9 schedule. But with the online program, you could do that program from anywhere. So what I would do is wake up and go to one of the local restaurants and do my homework. I would be there from 10 a.m. to 2 on Saturday, and I would do all my homework for the week. And then you had to post your assignments online. So that was beneficial for me, being a director of business development for all the campuses. I would be in New Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, White Plains. And, I graduated with honors, 3.9 GPA, master's in business administration, while having a full-time job. I was also the employment specialist for an organization for 5 years while I had the Berkeley job. It was called Bronx Connect. So I worked with them part-time where we helped at-risk teens find employment in the Bronx area. So I did both of those jobs in tandem. I worked with Berkeley 18 and was with Bronx Connect for 5. And, closed out that position in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even just working in those areas, I don't know if you could talk about if there was one or two situations that were challenging that you had to work through with some children or teens, that just seeing that through. There were probably a lot of situations.
Great question. During the height of the pandemic, working with the Bronx Connect organization, we get the opportunities to go into people's homes through Zoom. And you could hear conversations that were going on with the parents, right? My responsibility was to teach them how to write resumes, teach them how to interview for jobs, how to present themselves. But you would hear conversations with the parents that could be a little discouraging for a kid. Like, here you are ready to have your class with 10 kids, 12 kids, and the parent said discouraging things as opposed to encouraging things, like skip class today and come with me. I would hear that.
Yeah.
You would see like home environments, how they were set up, as opposed to how it normally was, where they would come to class and you didn't know some of the challenges that they face, but Zoom allowed you to see what the home environment looked like. So I was like, man,
you get a little, like a view inside.
Yeah. As opposed to Johnny just coming to class. You know,
you don't know what's
you don't know
going
what
on.
he was dealing with at home before he came to class. But my job was to foster relationships with organizations that would empower at-risk teens. Some of those teens were in gangs. And they were trying to fight hard to turn their back away from the gang and do right. This is when I said that working the extra with Bronx Connect was worth it. I had a challenging kid, came into the Bronx Connect class, and you know, he was still rough around the edges. And I said, hey, I'm just here to help you. I want you to be successful. And he was really belligerent in class, but I was able to control my emotions. And I said, hey, I'm here to really just support you. And then when he saw that I really wanted to see him succeed and do well, it was like a 10-week program that he had to go through. Because the court said, if you go through the program and you graduate, we'll drop all charges. Let's say that was a kid who stole somebody's cell phone and got arrested. The court said, hey, if you go through the program and you successfully graduate and secure employment, we'll drop all those charges. And this makes me happy to say, Chris, he successfully went through the program. He listened to everything I said. He embraced all the things I was trying to teach him, and he graduated successfully.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
He had to go through the program for 6 months. And, you know, one day I'm sitting in my house. It's like a couple of days before Christmas. And my job was to partner with companies to help him secure employment. He got hired by UPS. I'm sitting in my house. It's a few days before Christmas. I open my door, Chris. Who's standing outside my door in his Browns? UPS. And all I could do was just like, wow, he got hired by UPS. And UPS drivers, on average, you know, they make anywhere between 70 to 80 plus thousand per year with the overtime. And just to think that this young kid who was in my program, in my class, who was belligerent when we first started, was hired by UPS as a driver.
Yes.
His salary was anywhere between 70 to 80 plus thousand. And when he opened the door, he saw me. He said, Mark. And he just embraced me. And I embraced him. And I said, hey, I just want you to know I signed for my packages. And I said, hey, man, I just want you to know I'm really proud of you. And I say, hey, man, the sky is the limit. Right. So I was happy that in addition to my Berkeley job, that I had worked with Bronx Connect as well.
Definitely. And then I was curious, because you mentioned even your grandparents with church, but going through that time, when did you feel that you were called to serve in the ministry? When did that start? Great
question. Before coming to Unity, I served as an associate minister with First Calvary Baptist Church in Brooklyn. And the pastor was Earl Jones Sr. And he was basically a tremendous mentor to me. I started out as a walking deacon. I was about to be ordained as a deacon. Then God called me to ministry. And then, I preached my first sermon. Then I got ordained as a minister. Then I served as the president of the Media Arts Ministry. Then I served as the president of the men's ministry at the church. I did the two positions in tandem. And the pastor was giving me opportunity to preach. Youth Day, Men's Day. Other churches in Brooklyn were calling me to minister Youth Day, Men's Day. So that experience increased my confidence level. And I was doing all of that in addition to my full-time job with Berkeley. I was teaching Sunday school to the youth. And then I was promoted to start working with the men once a month. We had the locker room where I was overseeing that particular division within the church. Then the pastor would call me to preach his anniversary services. I was like, hey, why you calling me? Preaching anniversary service. You know, all these pastors in the community. I never said that. But I wondered, like, he could call all these senior pastors at churches in Brooklyn, Queens. You know, he's been the pastor of that church for like 40 something years. But what he was doing, Chris, was increasing my confidence to do ministry. So I think those particular experiences was empowering me and bringing me and making me more excited about ministry work. And, like preaching maybe once every 8 weeks, because he has like 7 or 8 ministers under him. So we had a rotation where we would take turns preaching. So he had the 8 a.m. service, 11 a.m. So I lived in the Bronx. He was expecting me to be at that pulpit at 8 a.m. to preach when I had to preach. He didn't want to hear no excuses. So I think that discipline, leaving my house in the Bronx and sitting outside that church at 7:45 to be ready to preach when it was my time to preach. And then he would say, hey, I want you to preach 8 a.m. and 11. I was like, all right, Pastor, no problem. So I think that prepared me to be a unity to preach at 11, not making excuses. Leaving my house 8:30, 9 o'clock when I had to. Just like I had to be at this interview, I left my house at 7 to be here on time. And I think that Pastor Jones has prepared me for that. When we had those Bible study with the young kids, he was expecting me to be there to teach them Bible study early. And then when we had the locker room and it was my time to oversee that, he expected me to leave my full-time job and be there at 6 o'clock to work with those men. Sometimes we had 10 men. Sometimes we had 32 men. But I think all of that was preparation for the unity experience.
Yes.
Yep.
And then even just throughout your life, if there was a moment, even growing up, were there times where you veered away from the church at all, or you were always...
Great question. This may make you smile. Growing up, that my dad was incarcerated, he embraced the precepts of Islam while he was incarcerated. He was at Elmira Penitentiary. So my mom, following her husband, she accepted the Islam as well. So her children had to accept that faith as well. So, my grandma, imagine, I'm coming to her on Friday to spend the night. I have my kufi on. I have my Quran, my little Quran in my bag.
Yes.
Yet I had to put all of that to the side and grab the Bible and go to church and praise God. So it could have been confusing. And then finally, my mom, I would wake up in the middle of the night when I spent the night with my grandma. She would be on the side of the bed praying for me. Like her hands would be on me and she would be praying. And I would imagine she was praying that we would come to the faith of Christianity. Many times I would wake up as a small kid and see my grandma praying.
Wow.
And then one day, when we were living in Soundview, it was a lady named Miss Tate. She was a devout Christian. She lived in 3C. We lived in 2C. And she was responsible for summer lunch. And she would knock on my door, Chris, and say, hey, Miss Thompson, I have some bologna sandwiches for you. I have orange juice for you. And she would sometimes give my mom 50 bologna sandwiches, 50 juices. Her responsibility was to make sure that the indigent families within the community had food. because it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
So her giving us additional bologna sandwiches, juice, milk, fruit, apples, oranges. Trust me, Chris, that extra food helped our house tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she one day said to me, she had a red Pinto car.
Mm-hmm.
She said to my mom, hey, can I take your boys to Kips Bay? My mom said, yes, take them. Then we went to Kips Bay Boys Club. We played basketball, football, ping pong, pool. And then she said, can I take your boys to church? Meanwhile, imagine my mom in her Muslim gear outfit, her kids with kufis. But remember what I told you, Miss Tate had brought us food throughout the whole summer. She knocked on our door. My mom couldn't dare tell her no. And then we went to that church in the Bronx. I can't remember the name. And Chris, the praise music, the drums. And her son was my best friend. His name was Chris Tate. And that was it. I said, hey, Mom, we really love the Christian church. And then when I went to Fordham University, a friend of mine invited me to Convent Avenue Baptist Church on 145th Street. And we drifted away from the church for a couple of years. And then when I went to Convent, I accepted the church. I went back home and told my mom, I said, hey, Mom, I went to Convent today. And my mom wasn't really going to church. She wasn't going to the mosque. I said it was amazing. And then after that, my family saw how excited I was about going to the church. My mom went to church again. She didn't go to Convent. She went to a local church in the area. But then she started accepting faith again. And my brothers, they went to some local churches. Some of them came to Convent. They didn't really join. But that's when, then when I met my wife, she came to Convent a couple of times. Her name Lisa Thompson. She was like, come to my church in Brooklyn. So we took turns. She would come to Convent. Then I would go to First Calvary Baptist. First Calvary is not as big as Convent. Convent had like 3,000, 4,000 members. First Calvary was smaller. They had like maybe 150 active members. And the Bible study was intimate. And, I would learn more at First Calvary. And then one day I said to her, hey, I think I'm going to join First Calvary today. She's like, really? I said, I like it because it's so intimate. The pastor knows me. The first lady knows me. I'm learning a lot. Like they would give us books to study. We had vacation Bible study, during the summers. And I was active in a vacation Bible study program for 10 years. They would give you a certificate. I would drive from the Bronx. And I was a member in that church up until 2022 when Unity called me to be the interim pastor and then, the pastor.
And so how did that opportunity really come about for Unity?
One of the local pastors here in the area, Pastor Tisha Williams, is also a former member from First Calvary. So when she was called to be the pastor of First Baptist Church of Bridgehampton, where she is now, she told Unity, hey, if you're looking for any pastors to come preach for you until you find a pastor, give Minister Marc Thompson a call. So they called me in 2022 before I was even ordained as a pastor. Like 2021, 2022, I was a minister. So they invited me, and everything Pastor Jones taught us to give out an outline before you preach. I did that, and Unity said they liked my habits. I didn't preach long. I still don't. Our pastor taught us you don't want to preach for an hour because people's attention span is short. But if you give people a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I think that suffices.
Yes.
So that's how he preaches. He doesn't preach more than 30 minutes.
Okay.
He gives out an outline. I have a stack of outlines in my basement from his sermons that I've collected over the years. So I have that same discipline. I try to give out an outline every Sunday since I've been coming to Unity.
Wow. And how was your first experience when you first came out here? What did you think of the area
great question. When I first came, I was blown away by the commute. Just imagine going from the Bronx to Brooklyn is like maybe 30 minutes. Then going from the Bronx to Unity, Mattituck, Long Island, an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But sometimes my wife would come with me.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime she came with me, I knew I could like read my notes and prepare myself for like the morning service. But anytime I came by myself, I would turn on the music and listen to it. And that music would soothe me during my commute. Like even today, I had the music on and I came out and the music ministered to me as I came before the interview today. So that's like my daily regimen.
Yes.
Yep.
And then even just the environment from being in Brooklyn and it's much more rural out here.
It's night and day. Like sometimes like when we would come, I would go out into the community and take photos.
Yes.
Like I have an affinity for photography. I would take photographs to this day of different sites. And I would put some of them on my Instagram page, some of them on the Unity page. But just taking advantage of the opportunity of being here.
Yes.
Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like night and day from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn to Mattituck.
I know.
But the good part is that you get the opportunity to empower the people. Like to minister means to be a servant of the people. So although I'm not doing it in Brooklyn anymore, because in Brooklyn we did street ministry. We served food pantries. We went out to the community. We prayed with people by the train station. The J train, like our pastor would be out there with us. You can't serve on Pastor Earl Jones' ministry team, Reverend Tisha, myself, Earl Jones Jr., any of the ministers from there, Minister Sean, Reverend Sean. We knew we had to be a part of the ministry and we had to be active. You didn't have to be on all the ministries, but you had to be on the ministry and serving under his leadership. He also had, it's called the Earl Jones Preaching Academy. We had to go through that academy where we learned how to preach a little better. He taught us various mechanics to preaching. He brought us books. Like he's one of the greatest mentors I've ever had. Yeah.
And even, I don't know if you can talk about just Unity Baptist Church in Mattituck, just some of the history, because I think it's coming up on
1931.
1931,
It was started by 1931. They've had 3 pastors before myself.
Okay.
I'm the 4th pastor. They had an interim pastor, Pastor Gibson, who did a phenomenal job before me. He even invited me to minister one Sunday morning. I have the highest respect for him as well. He did a tremendous job for Unity during the pandemic. So if you can minister during the pandemic with no people in the pews, you're doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
And to this very day, he's like a major encouragement. Like he just sent me a text, a post on Facebook just saying, "Hey, Reverend Marc, you're doing a phenomenal job at Unity. I'm very proud." When he was the interim pastor for 2 years, he invited me in to minister. The morning service. Put up a post to announce to the community that I was coming. I reached out to him a couple of times to minister for us, but it conflicted with his schedule, so he hasn't been able to come back and minister. But I can't wait until I could be sitting next to him and listen to him preach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And how do you feel about the community there now, and just seeing how the church has been an important part of the Mattituck community and the people that still go there?
I'm very proud at the community. I think what has helped me is joining the East End Pastors Association, where the amazing Dr. Butler is the president. It has allowed me the opportunity to connect with some of the local pastors. So that has helped me make connections with pastors in the community. They point out specific things that we do, things that we don't do. We send out mailers to the various churches when we're having activities. We just had an amazing platform service. I received a lot of support from the local pastors like Dr. Coverdale from First Baptist Church of Bridgehampton. Friendship Baptist Church,
Mm-hmm.
Cutshaw Church, that's close to here.
Yes.
Their pastor, Pastor Fulford, came out to support. You know what I mean? Like, ministry is about working as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're not in competition with no other churches. We're a smaller church, but we love God. And I think we're pushing the kingdom of God, right? And I think that is the key ingredient for me.
Yes.
And our community, the local businesses have been very supportive to us. And Unity is a smaller church, but it's all about team.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dr. Dozier did a phenomenal job. Pastor Gibson did a phenomenal job saying we're a team. Like my mom used to say, Mark, your 5 fingers work better when you pull them together.
Mm.
And, you know, growing up as a small kid in my household, my brother Chad would be doing the dishes. I would be cleaning the bathroom. My brother Lateef would be mopping the kitchen. My brother Damon would be cleaning out the refrigerator. And my sister would go to the laundry to, you know, wash the clothes. So she taught us teamwork. To this very day, I think that's the secret to Unity's success. That's why I think that although it's smaller, the ministry is thriving. Like our chairman, Deacon Anderson, our vice chair, Deacon Trent, those guys call me once a week. Hey, Mark, how's everything going? You need any help with anything? The leadership team, Reverend Ford, you know, my assistant, very supportive. Hey, Pastor, you need any help with anything? The leaders of the various ministries, Deacon Turner, Lavinia, Polite, who's over the culinary ministry. You know, I think that is the success. Our music ministry, Deacon Eric, who's over the media ministry, he texted me last night at 9:00, said, hey, Mark, what's the word going to be for the prayer call Tuesday? And I was with my wife. We were eating food. I sent them the word for the week that we're going to, because we have a weekly prayer call that's online Tuesday. And we like to announce it ahead of time because we have people share a scripture. Then we have a devotional speaker who speaks for like 5 to 8 minutes. And we put it in the bulletin to alert people. But just having those team members supporting me, it makes ministry so much more fun.
Yes, definitely. And what's been one of the most rewarding aspects of being part of this particular community, and what makes the people of Mattituck or the surrounding area unique?
One of the most rewarding things is to see our people empowered. And what I mean by that is to see members in Unity as high school students, and now to see them, since I've been there, transitioning into college students.
Yes.
Seeing some of them graduate. Like we just had 2 graduates, my daughter. We had another young lady, Destiny, graduate from Morgan University. Now we have 2 who just graduated from the local high schools. Now they're transitioning, one to Malloy, and then one is going to Albany. Just to see their transition in their growth and to see the transformation with their parents being very supportive of them. Then watching our church give them little small scholarships, showing up to their various events at their schools, like their plays, being in the audience as pastor.
Yes.
You know, seeing our care ministry empowering people with food, showing up to like people's homes, delivering food. I showed up myself with a couple of the Unity members to some of the local like homes and providing people with Bibles, you know, and seeing Deacon Halliger. He's like amazing
Yes.
in his community. Like the work that he does, you know, being connected with the local officials. And Brian is amazing how he's just connected and always supporting Unity. Like you look on the Unity page, he's giving us a like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And just letting us know it's about empowering the people. So that makes me say, hey, we got to empower people in our community. Seeing people accept Christ at the church. When I first went there, some people weren't so excited about Bible study. Chris, when I log into the Zoom and to hear how excited they are about the study of God's word, the application of God's word. And some people who were shy when I first started, to see them now speaking out on the prayer line, to see them sharing their takeaways, it makes me excited about ministry. You know, I was talking to my wife. She's going to be the guest speaker tomorrow at Friendship, and to hear her excitement about speaking for Women's Day at 3:00. I'm like, man, this thing is working.
Yes.
But our pastor, it goes back to Pastor Jones teaching us as walking deacons, as ministers, our job is to push the kingdom and not ourselves. If you're here pushing Mark and want people to see Mark, that's the wrong thought process. Like the years that I was a member there, he never pushed Earl Jones. He pushed Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Right? We're here to uplift the community. And if you look at their page, they're doing back to school events. They're feeding like the homeless every week. Right? They're visiting the assisted living facilities, the stuff that we're doing. If a member's sick, they're visiting the hospital. That's who Christ was. He was a servant for the people in the community. He was showing up where people were hungry, where people needed to be healed. So that's why I'm very proud of Unity. It's not always the size. Sure, we have big churches in the community, but if we're feeding people in the community and ministering Christ to people in the community, that's our job.
Yes. And I think it was last year you were involved in events like the Southold Martin Luther King Jr. celebration.
Yes.
And the main speaker. How did that feel?
I was so very happy to be selected for that opportunity, but once again, it took me back to like what being a minister is all about. Dr. King was an amazing leader in the community. He was all about harmony. He was all about love. He was all about being a servant for the people. He was against hatred. He was all about love. You know, he did everything in his power to bring various ethnic groups together. When we think about the March on Washington, over 200,000 plus people there at that march. In that crowd was mixed people, Jews, blacks, whites, Hispanics. He brought us all together. And so just getting the opportunity to minister that day was a reminder of why I'm here.
Yes.
To bring change to our community. And that's what I've been trying to do since I've been here.
And if you could talk about some of the other programs or outreach initiatives that you have at Unity Baptist Church, and I think you've had even different programs or where you bring out, you said like East End pastors and events for men and then events for women in the church.
Excellent. I'm part of the East End Baptist Association. That's a cadre of pastors who come together the second Saturday of every month. We meet from 10 to 12. We talk about various initiatives in the community. You know, different activity happening with the politicians, certain initiatives we should be focused on as a church, being connected with our local elected officials, being connected with the police department, internship opportunities within the police department that may be available, different initiatives that the public library is promoting that our people in the community need to know about. The care ministry, that's a ministry within our church where we deliver food to people in the community. Today, you know, we have like a flea market that's actually occurring where people can come and purchase things for a discounted price. And what we do, we take the money back and donate it to the church. We had a men's platform recently, last week on a Saturday, where we had six different churches come together. And our focus was Ephesians 6:12, putting on the full armor of God. And we had 6 deacons had the opportunity to speak for 10 minutes about that text and what it meant to them and how it's imperative that we put on the full armor of God, especially when you have challenges with drugs in the community, domestic violence in the community, you have gang violence in the community, unemployment in the community, you have families financially distressed. We've had a couple of people come into our church off the street asking for money to pay bills, right? So just a reminder of putting on the full armor of God to protect our mind against depression, different things that people may have, challenges people may have. And the word of God teaches us how to be resilient and to persevere through challenges. Like you think about the Apostle Paul, he's the one who wrote that text, Ephesians 6:9. And he persecuted the church before, meeting Jesus on the Damascus Road in Acts 9. The same scripture that I accepted Christ from. And we had a wonderful crowd in the church. Women, men, young kids got the opportunity to come together and be empowered. That's what church is about. It's not about you filling up your cup. It's about you empowering people so they learn how to live effective lives. And just to see the harmony, we had a speaker, my brother-in-law, Barry Hunter, come from First Calvary Baptist Church. He was one of our speakers. We have Vincent Bell, one of our speakers from Friendship. We had Deacon Larry Williams from First Baptist Church, Bridgehampton, come. Also from First Calvary Baptist Church, come and speak. And we had other speakers, but it was a wonderful day for our church. We had one of our deacons, Deacon Robert Turner, was a speaker. And once again, Chris, we were pushing the kingdom of God. Everybody left empowered. Women, men, pastors who came were empowered. And when you look at our page now, we could see a lot of views. And from the work that we're doing, our views at the church on our Facebook page are going up. We just surpassed over 20,000 views for the month.
Yeah.
We're a small church.
That's a lot.
If we do the work, everything else will take care of itself.
Yes. And then I guess moving forward, what are you most excited about? Any future projects down the line for the church?
I would just love to continue Dr. Dozier's legacy. He was the pastor for 32 years. I know I'm just celebrating my second pastoral anniversary, but if I can be anything close to what type of leader he was, I would love to, create more scholarship opportunities for our college kids. I was able to go through Fordham University, and Fordham paid 90% of my education. And along with my dad's Veterans Administration benefits, they gave me a stipend every semester throughout my 4 years. I would love to really develop that so we could give more scholarship money to the kids going to college, form partnerships with the colleges in the area, take our kids on, college tours, continue to foster partner relationships with organizations. Like, I'm proud to share this with you. My company that I work for in the Bronx, the Dentalese Company, we just joined the Harlem Chamber. And I see opportunities where we can form partnerships to bring funds into the church. They just sponsored, they're one of the sponsors for our Family and Friends Day. So I would love to continue to foster relationships with organizations that would sponsor different activities that we're going to host at Unity. Like one company in particular that said yes is Northwell Hospital is one of our recent sponsors. They're going to sponsor us for the Family and Friends Day that's happening in August. They also agreed to sponsor us for a leadership conference that we're going to have coming up in the next few months, as well as a youth summit. So that's my vision, to continue to do the outreach in the community, to bring in funds to raise money for our church. Last year, in 2024, we had a fundraiser with popcorn. We raised money to fix the basement. We raised over $3,400 to make improvements. And some of the local churches in the area, one organization in Queens, AHRC, gave us a nice check. An organization called Big Brothers gave us a check as well for like $250. But at the end of it, we had $3,400 to give to the church.
Wow.
I want to keep that going.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was explaining to the church, you got to do social media. People have to see what you're doing, on Facebook, Instagram.
Otherwise, people might just drive by. They don't know what's going on.
They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from First Calvary. We have to be active on the social media.
Yes. And I was thinking, just even because I think you mentioned earlier, looking at where you grew up, and you got to go back and visit not too long ago. I was curious what you thought of the area, and has it changed a lot?
Great question. I was thankful to God to go back and see. The community has changed a lot. Like a lot of you could tell a lot of elected officials have spent money on the community. Like the basketball court I played on, Saquon. As I parked my car and walked into Soundview, they put a fence around the whole basketball court. And they put fiberglass backboards. I was told that one of the NBA basketball players who was raised in Soundview as well, Kemba Walker, he's a retired NBA basketball player, but he invested millions of dollars in the community to fix up the basketball court, to put the gates around the court, to put the fiberglass backboards up. And then when I walked through the community and went to past my old building, they fixed up the front of the building now. It looked much better. I walked to the big park. Chris, they had fiberglass backboards on the basketball courts. They did a lot of renovation in the community. It didn't look as run down as it did when I was a kid. And I was very happy at that. And I was also told that Carmelo Anthony came back to our community with his son last summer and allowed his son, Keon, who's going to Syracuse on a full scholarship. He played in the Soundview basketball tournament. In one of the games, the court was packed. Just imagine an NBA star come back to the community with his son and let his son play in the tournament. I'm sure it probably wasn't standing room, but experiences like that, it gives inspiration to people in the community that to hear that a Kemba Walker raised in Soundview who made it, went to college, went to the NBA. Dreams I had. I didn't make it to the NBA, but it's possible if you do the work, so I was inspired just to go back and see Soundview and thank the Lord to, bring me through that experience, show me some success in my life.
Yes. And even just looking back from then to now and your career, and what does your mom think of what you've done? And
great question.
Going through that adversity.
My mom, I was on the phone with her last week, and I was telling her about some things that we're doing. She came to the first family and friends that I was a part of. She was there with my nephews, and she told me last week, I'm very proud. I was telling her some strides that we're making, like my back to school event that we're having with my job on August 21st. Chris, we have 35 companies coming.
Yes.
To that event. 35 companies coming. This week, Vanessa Gibson, her team said that she's going to work hard to try to be there. And that company is in the South Bronx. So I say, God is using me to do work in Unity in Long Island, and he's also using me to do work in the South Bronx at the Denalise Corporation. And I'm excited. We're going to be giving out school supplies. It's going to be a health truck set up. We're going to have bouncy houses there. We're going to be serving popcorn. And, I was telling my mom, she said, Mark, you're doing some phenomenal stuff. You're working at your job and you're working at Long Island. You're not making any excuses. I said, Mom, God gives me the energy to do this work. So I want to make God proud. I want Unity to be proud, but I also want my community, like the Bronx, to be proud as well.
Yes.
And once again, I'm trying to empower those families in that community. We're linking people to jobs. They're going to be companies hiring for employment that day, internships. Like I formed a partnership with CUNY. They have the CUNY Career Launch Program. We have 6 interns working with us right now that are being paid $20 per hour, who are our future nurses, our future doctors, our future business leaders. and just giving them the opportunity to work with us at the Denalise Lower West Side Corporation speaks volumes.
Yes.
I didn't make it to the NBA, but I see God using me in other capacities.
Yes.
Yep.
Definitely. Were there any other last minute things you'd like to say or discuss that we haven't touched on?
I thank the Lord for your library. You know, I read a story my freshman year in English comp. And when I was here today, I took a picture of the front of the library, and it was a story about Richard Wright, and it was called Library Card, my freshman year. And in that story, Richard Wright shared how when he was a young kid, he didn't have the opportunity to go into the library and take out a book because of his color.
Yes.
Right? And he wrote about his experiences and how that made him fall in love with reading and made him fall in love with writing. And then when he got the opportunity, he used to have friends, Caucasian friends, go into the library and get books for him to read. And then, you know, today when I walked in, I said, man, I had the opportunity to walk in this library and get a book.
Yes.
So I was inspired and just thankful for how far we've come. You know, and I know there's a lot of work for us to still do.
Yes.
But we're making strides.
Definitely.
You know, we're making strides. And I share that with Unity. Take advantage of the opportunities that you have now. You know, we have some members who graduated with a GED. And I say, hey, that's not it. I said, my mom got a GED. If you want to pursue higher education, you can. You just got to put together a strategy and a plan.
Yeah.
My last sermon was the best is yet to come. And I believe that.
Yes.
The best is yet to come for Unity. We just have to do the work.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, but I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chris, for giving me the chance to interview with you today.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story and all the work you've done through your career and continue to do at Unity Baptist Church. It was a really pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have an awesome day.
Thank you. You
God
too.
bless you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 146 with Reverend Marc Thompson. I want to thank you for listening to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, and we'll see you next time.